let us quickly run through what we have done. Number one, we have spoke about what is the Cold War, right? You best know how to define what the Cold War is at this point. Number two, we have spoke about the origin of the Cold War. After defining Cold War as a concept, what did we say were the causes? After World War II happened, what are the actual origins of the Cold War? What caused the Cold War, I mean? It's those two ideologies. When you speak of the actual causes and origins of the Cold War, if you are to read here, it is tied to that particular aspect of them trying to divide Germany and therefore not coming to an actual consensus and agreement between each other. Reason being, the other wants to push their own ideology, the other also wants to push their own ideology. And then we come to find ourselves talking about Germany that will be divided into four. And when we speak of it being divided into four, this is how it really was divided. And this is one city that we have spoken a lot of and all about. We did say that there's going to be this place which is known as, and it is going to be in the territory of, and then when it comes to America, you can see where it is. When it comes to France, when it comes to Britain, you can also see how the definition comes about. And then we also pushed as far as talking about Truman's doctrine or Truman's policy of containment, which entailed two things in particular. Number one, it's the Marshall Plan and not else. There are two facets in the Truman's policy of containment that we speak of or that we spoke of. It was number one, the Truman's doctrine, and number two, it was Marshall Plan. So when it comes to everything that is going to happen here, it does not only start and end here when it comes to America and USA trying to expand. When it comes to the expansion, we know that this one is more so found on the sphere that we refer to as the USSR is found on which sphere? It controls which sphere? Which ideology is it pushing in the East? When it comes to this one, it is responsible for? Which ideology is it pushing? So in this instance, when it comes to the two which we're in now, we are therefore going to come up with those two facets. They are going to have try and push for the East, the others are going to try and push for the West. And then, in line with that particular aspect of from the East and from the West, we're in now, we are going to find ourselves talking about these two individuals. Therefore saying, I have my own plans, and my plans are therefore going to help me to garner more support from wherever I go, so that those people can join that we can refer to as my sphere, right? And when it comes to those spheres, it's within now we are going to speak of two in particular. Let's say number one is the East, number two is the West. So number one is the West, and number two is the Eastern vicinity. Now when it comes to the USSR, in order for it to expand further, it doesn't necessarily need to go there, ask for permission and take over, right? It is going to see a reason for it to get to that particular place. Where in number one might be tied to the very fact that they see that as one of the key components or one of the countries that they can add to their satellite states so that they can get either minerals or support or use it as a form of protection. We did talk about that, right? And we did say that when it comes to the USSR and its expansion, so in now it was tied to the very fact that it wanted all the countries that are right next to it in order for it to form that shield of protection that we called. What did we call it? The Eastern Bloc, which are all these countries that include Poland, Czechoslovakia going down, right? And when it is trying to form that Eastern Bloc, it is eventually going to find itself trying to take over a place that is known as Greece. It is also going to try and find itself trying to take over a place that is known as Turkey. And when it comes to those two, they are therefore going to be the first of those countries that are going to show resistance. Not necessarily because they were strong enough or they were strong enough to challenge the USSR, but because they were going to be backed by one of the very most strongest of the two superpowers, which will be. So when it comes to these two people, they'll find themselves having that conflict to say, if I expand towards this territory and I get it, I'll therefore have more satellite states, which is one thing that the USA will see to it that it does not happen through that policy of containment that will be introduced by Truman. Now, we therefore move